Hello and welcome back to the building of this bend buckle kit of a cirrus moth. The last session actually was working on the tail feathers, and as you can see they've been completed and rubbed down, and the hinges, although they're not glued in, have been slotted. And just out of interest, this is a previous incarnation of the same plane, and you'll see that the tail surface is actually shown as solid. And I think anything that reduces weight towards the tail end, a built-up structure, is a positive thing, and I think that's no doubt the reason that the modification was made in the plan. So what's the aim today? Well, I have a centre section with the holes marked out approximately for the bolts in the back. I've lined them up, they need a little bit of fettling. The wings, but you'll notice they're not joined and there's no braces being added yet. And that is called for in the instructions, that you don't actually put them in as you're going along. These are the braces, plywood, 1/8 quality ply. And I need to cut out a slot to put the centre brace in on the main spar, and on the rear spar they need to be glued in, and when that's done the dihedral brake will need to be chocked up for each wing. It's the same on both wings. So the tool to hand to do that job I think is going to be a razor saw. I've marked on the height on that side and the height on this side. Obviously when it comes to the internal ribs I'm just going to have to estimate that, but the first thing I'm going to do is use the razor saw to cut a line neatly down there on the edge of the webbing, making sure I'm putting it on the right side of the spar. I've done that mistake before now. Now I need to double check for the thickness of the spar, because I want a neat fit. And I'm not going to do it with a pencil, I'm going to do it with a blade. I'm going to do the same on this side. Holding it can be a little bit of a problem. So we'll cut this slot out. That's that removed. Cut this one out. And let's just have a trial. Yeah, that's nice and neat there. A little bit too generous there, I think, perhaps. Now I'll cut these out. We'll cut this out and see how it goes. As I say, it's a little bit awkward this, but we'll make it work. Right, we'll see how that fits in. May need a little bit of fettling. Yeah. I'm going to need to sand a little bit off there. Now this sanding nail file is the same thickness as the as a spar. I'm not going to force that because it's a little bit tight, but I'll fettle away on this until I get a nice neat fit, and then it'll be glued in and clamped, although from this tightness I don't think it's going to need a lot of clamping. And then the same process for this one. This is a little bit neater. Crack on with that and we'll see how it goes. That didn't take long. I've lined it up, the centre line with the centre point on there. Now I need to do the same here. I need to double check I'm putting it on the right side here. Well, that was hard work, partly because these blocks had been put in first. Anyway, it's done now. So that's that one. This is the other. And all I'm going to do here is glue these in, make sure they're flush with the bottom and they're lined up in the centre. A bit like that. Once that's done and set, then we'll do the same sort of operation, cutting out the slots in the ribs on the wing. That'll be a lot easier than trying to hack through these blocks, I'm sure. And then it's ready to jig up, and we'll make sure that it's accurately set up for the correct dihedral. Well, there you go. That's the braces that have been clamped in here. I'll leave the clamps on a little bit longer. I need to do a little bit of fettling here. I'm not quite happy with the way these holes line up for the bolts, but that's not a big deal. What I have done is very carefully cut out the slots for the braces, making sure I'm on the right side of the spars. I've made that mistake in the past, so I've cut those out. They're ready to receive these, and we'll see what the fit's like, and then a word about the dihedral. So that's fitting in nicely, and I hope you can, well, you might even be able to hear it's quite a snug fit, which is what you want. So that's the dihedral brace for the upper wing done on one side. I'll repeat on the other side, of course, but the next thing I'm going to do is clear this workbench up, get it nice and tidy, which is a bit of a rarity for me. And then I have to set the dihedral. Now, according to the instructions, there are two options. One for a rudder only model, which this isn't going to be, which would have a greater dihedral. And for an aileron controlled wing and model, you need a 20mm dihedral at the tips. So I'm going to cut out a couple of templates out of some scrap material to produce those, and then we'll come back, I'll set everything up, and we'll jig this job up ready to be glued together. Here we go then. I've made a little block that's 20mm high, and that'll go under the trailing edge of the tip. It seems the best location to get that required dihedral on. So now it's a case of gluing this up, which I'm about to do. Keep on stopping and thinking which way I am here. So I'll put some glue along here. I'm using Gorilla white glue for this. I don't want anything that's brittle. And obviously CA is brittle. I think to a certain extent epoxy is as well. So I'm actually only going to glue the inside, put glue on the inside part of this and leave the edges, because I'll pack those with scrap balsa to get a nice joint between the middle section and the wing itself. So let's offer this up. First thing I'm going to do is line this up as much as I can to the required setting. And what I have found from looking at this is that the dihedral angles seems to be spot on, set by the brace, I mean. I've got a little bit of cling film on the base here, so I don't glue it at this stage to the plan, which would be great fun, wouldn't it? I need to weigh down this section, and I think that requires, I can't get a clamp on this unfortunately. Actually I may be able to, wait a moment, because of the sheeting I'm thinking, but there's a possibility. Put a small clamp on this one. Let's go for another one. Actually I might use this one. I've got a whole variety of clamps. They all have their uses, different contexts. And along at the tip here, doesn't need any forcing that, it seems to be coming out rather nicely. The sandbag here is holding down the middle section. I'm going to actually put a pin, a couple of pins in here and push this root rib up against them. Maintaining it. Put another one in there. Actually I could put one in the end. So I'm pinning right at the end of the wing itself to stop it moving around. Put a pin in there. Happy with that. So that's just a case of leaving it be, not moving it. Yeah, that's spot on. 20mm. It's not a lot, but that's it will make the ailerons more effective. Then most biplanes fly on rudder most of the time anyway. That's my experience. Some models more than others, but I'm sure this one will probably be quite happy just being flown around on 3-channel if you had a little bit more dihedral. But I'm quite happy with that. Now, I did say there's a possibility of putting a clamp in there. I don't know if this will work. Yeah. Put a little bit of pressure on that, that's great. Because the glue is much more likely to form a strong bond if there's a bit of pressure on it to hold it against the surface. Happy with that. any dint that occurs there, it needs sanding out anyway because they haven't been sanded yet. I think I'm calling that, for the time being, done till I come back and check on it in due course. A little bit of glue up that joint. Yep, there we go. And so we have it. This is the first set of wings completed with the dihedral brace. Little bit of care is obviously required, sawing out the slots and the ribs. This has to be finished, and I would like to actually cover this in a corrugation that you would find with the fuel tank, so I'll need to investigate how I'm going to tackle that. But this is the first one. I'm happy with the dihedral. It's at the required angle. There we have it, and it'll fit on like that. And I just need to sort out the holes for the clamps, and there's the first set of wings completed. Pleased with that. They've been sitting around for a long time. I've done very little work on them. They were made to a fairly good standard. There's been a couple of little things I've had to tweak, but nothing major. The same sort of little mistakes I make, so I can't blame the builder for that. I hope you enjoyed the journey up to now. If you have done, please give it a thumbs up. It spreads the word, and think about subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching now.